one.
Did he start?
Yeah. I don't think the media manager started yet.
Okay.
I'm going to put them on my photos first. Here.
Hey, man.
Here. Clean this up.
I got 1.5 million photos you can go through.
Here's your next 6 months. No, why would I ever get to use the resources within our business for my own gain?
Yeah, man.
That's ridiculous.
This is a business, not a charity.
Ever since I hired Angel, Angel, the intent to hire Angel was for him to follow me around the camera and really just focus on the vlog. And then that happened, I don't know, maybe made it 3 months. And then we started doing videos for fucking companies. And then Angel goes off and focuses on that now.
And then you realize, when someone else pays us for video, that means I can pay this video guy more.
Exactly.
I got it. Oh, okay.
The funny thing about the vlog from my perspective was you hired Angel, but then you were super resistant to actually doing a vlog.
Oh, I know. Well, because it's fucking weird at first. You know how it is. You're traveling somewhere and you're 3 days into a trip and you're waking up at 4 a.m. to go somewhere. And so you're not in the best of moods. And you walk into the kitchen and there's a guy with the fucking camera filming you.
Yeah.
when you're just trying to get in the damn car and go somewhere.
Right.
But then you have to think he's filming me because I asked him to film me.
You're just you just film normal daily stuff, except not the stuff I don't want you to do.
Yeah.
Don't do those things. Just the other stuff that I don't point out to you I don't like. He's like, okay.
There were so many times in the beginning where Angel was like, he'd come say to me I don't think I have enough to film. I don't think I have enough from Aaron for a vlog. He won't talk to the camera.
I'm still learning how to do it because it's a different thing talking to a camera.
Yeah.
Podcasting though, we're getting the hang of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's zero talking to the camera in here, even though the vibe can kind of be similar. It's he's looking at me, but really he's talking to the camera. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's it's more just to make it natural, but
well, Mr. Kjell Gerber, we were talking about Angel. There's still debate whether you or Angel were first in the company. Technically legal first employee.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we need to dig into the legal records.
So on the HR software on Bamboo, you're employee number 1 and I'm number 2. Angel's 3.
Really?
Dan's number 4. Chase is 5.
So you're officially number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's is it, what do you go by? Is it the legal paperwork and chronological order of who was technically hired full time? Or, Dan's technically employee number 1.
Yeah. Yeah,
but then didn't Matt edit photos for you when he was in middle school?
Yeah. Yeah. Matt's been here for a while too. I'm going to go legal paperwork though. I would just take that number 2 title. If you got it, I would take it.
Yeah. Well, it's there then.
So you, we can talk about what you're doing right now, but you started out, you pretty much grew up in the industry because your dad's been in the industry since you were born.
Yeah.
So what does your dad do?
So my dad has been one of the owners, essentially a co-founder of heavy concrete construction company. They're based out of Utah, founded in 1974, 75.
And you're Gerber Construction. It's Gerber Construction. You're Kjell Gerber.
Yep.
So
family business.
Family business.
That you no longer work at.
that I no longer work at.
We'll get into that. So he was always he's what position does he play in the business? He helped start the business, but he's definitely more field oriented.
Yeah, 100%. So my 2 of my uncles, they started the business together as partners. My dad was essentially their first employee. So, gotcha. And then it was, I don't know, a year or 2 later, he bought into the company.
So it was his brothers that started it?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And they were, early on, they're in the field and the office. My dad was always just in the field.
Yeah.
So, and he's, I think last month, I think he turned 66. So, and he's still in the field.
Every day. Full bore. Was he in construction before the company started, or did he start with the company?
No, he had some other jobs there, or he had some other jobs in construction for other companies. But I mean, he was essentially just like right out of high school.
Sure. So what was growing up like when you were a kid?
I mean, growing up, I wasn't very interested in work, to be honest. I was interested in sports, but as far as work goes, like my dad was out of town a lot, working all over. You know, they work mainly in Utah, Nevada, Wyoming. You know, they're not like they don't go cross country type stuff, but
And it's just all concrete work.
yeah, concrete. They do. I mean, they do all the equipment, digging, all the excavation and stuff, but it's primarily concrete.
Did he bring you around the business when you were young?
I would go, to the yard, help him load up or unload Saturdays, Sundays type stuff, but I didn't have a lot of opportunity to actually go on job sites, until I started full time out of high school. Really, there's a couple. I remember when I was still in high school, I went on a big concrete pour on a water tank deck. Um, so I did that. I worked part time summers. Um, there was one summer I worked, full time at the yard. I was the yard. I was one of the yard guys. Doing odds and ends.
Yeah,
of
I was gonna say, what does a
stuff.
yard guy do?
Yeah,
whatever you're told.
Whatever you're told. I mean, from sweeping, cleaning up in the shop to unloading, loading trailers, sorting, organizing all the crap out in the yard. There's all sorts of treasures. I remember. I remember using a torch, cutting freaking, I don't know, some steel beams, something when I was 16.
Nice.
So
there's nothing better than a older construction company's yard.
Yeah.
And because there are just all sorts of treasures buried in a construction company yard.
Yeah.
If they've been there in the same place a while and they have a lot of space, stuff accumulates.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where it all comes from, but it accumulates.
Yep.
And it is just wild what you'll find in some of these places.
Yep.
Especially like a concrete company.
Yep.
So many different odd jobs and formwork and steel and equipment and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff there. My favorite thing to do when I was the yard guy when I was 16 was we had a big burn barrel and all the scrap formwork that would come off jobs, I'd get to chuck it in the fire.
Really?
Yeah.
They just burn it, huh?
Oh yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
They don't do it anymore, but that was fun.
The pollution gets bad enough in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
They don't need the construction company burning stuff to add to it.
Yeah.
So did you intend to get into construction, or was that just what was there when you graduated high school?
I had no intentions of working in construction at all. I didn't want to be my dad. I love my dad, but wasn't what I wanted to do. But then, I graduated high school and I was like, well, okay, I'm going to go to work. I didn't choose to do anything else. So I kind of fell into it. And, I got into it because, well, like it was okay to get into it rather than pursue something else because I was making more money than any of my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about construction turned you off from it?
That's a good question. I don't know. It just wasn't like I grew up playing in the sandbox. I had, Tonka trucks and my dad had me a little wooden track hoe that, a little excavator that'd spin on its base that, he made for me. I got pictures of that when I was a little kid, playing on that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I did the whole sandbox thing, but I even learned how to run equipment. I learned how to run an excavator when I was probably 10 years old. I got pictures of me driving a backhoe, probably 12, 13, I think, when I started running those. But I don't know. It wasn't like my thing.
Sure. So you fall into it
Yeah.
That is the thing about construction is you can make a lot of money pretty quick. Like even as when I was working my jobs in college, the money I was taking home compared to anybody else I knew was completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Completely insane. It was a ton of money, mostly because of how many hours you work.
Yeah.
So it's okay. My hourly rate in 40 hours, pretty similar to everybody else. But then if you were doing 80 hours,
Yeah.
and then plus per diem or whatever, if you're working out of town, you
Yeah.
just make a killing as a kid.
Yeah. I remember my friends were making, close to minimum wage, which was at the time, I don't know, $8 or $9.
Yeah.
I was making $12 an hour right out of high school. Working 50 hours a week or something. So you get the overtime and living at home, no bills, going to work with dad.
Sure.
Made some good money.
Did you just start as a laborer?
Yeah. I got the chance to operate equipment early on because my dad trusted me.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me opportunity to, throw me in the equipment, but my dad's I got the opportunity, but my dad's the type of person that if I was shitty at it, he wouldn't have let me do it.
Sure.
So he gave me the opportunity because he trusted me that I could learn, that I could do a good job, and that I'd take care of the equipment.
He was always on the jobs you were on when you started out?
Yeah. The first probably year and a half, I worked pretty much exclusively with him.
Was he the boss on the
yeah.
site?
Oh yeah. It doesn't matter where he's at. He's the boss. That's the type of person he is. He walks in a room and it's like he just takes control.
So you're a laborer for a while, and you were at Gerber for quite a while.
Yeah. I worked a year and a half, and then I quit to be a snowboard bum, basicn't for a winter. Yep. I did the snowboard thing for a winter, lived with some friends, didn't have a job. That was fun. Kind of got it out of my system.
Yeah.
Springtime rolled around, snow was melting. I moved back home, went back to work with my dad. So I did another year and a half and then quit because I hated my boss that I was working with at the time. And which wasn't my dad. I was working with somebody else, but I didn't like him. Quit to tried out the college thing a little bit.
That was, I guess, my next question. So you tried college out.
Yeah.
It wasn't for you.
I liked learning, but I don't know, college didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
That much. Like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? And how are you going to learn all that right here in college?
I don't think it makes sense to most people. And yet everybody just does it because it's like, well, it's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
You even think about what you learned in high school though. Like I've been thinking more and more, I've been a little bit more critical about like, what's the actual public school curriculum look like?
Yeah.
And you start thinking about it, you're like, that's actually, it's really flawed. It doesn't make very much sense at all. It's just, the thing that drove me nuts about college is it's just super outdated. Like I went through engineering school and it's preparing me to be an engineer in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you guys know there's the internet, right? Like even the whole concept of you have to do all of your own work. That's not a thing in the real world. That's not a thing at all. If I did all my own work, I wouldn't have a company.
Right.
I wouldn't have anybody. Like it wouldn't make any sense. And yet that's like you're penalized if you go collaborate with other people.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
Well, there's also so much emphasis placed on those like other almost like public school curriculum classes, like the gen eds that you end up having to take.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for anybody who has like a defined major, in my opinion, because it's like, does college math 101 have any relationship to anything any of us went to college for? Well, maybe, but wouldn't you take like other math classes that are more specifically geared towards that and not here? You need to learn mortgage amortization rates. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, not even mortgage lenders use that. They just plug it into a computer.
Well, you look at like high school. Yeah, it's just you're learning a little bit about just a bunch of random subjects.
Yeah.
It's not very cohesive, and anyway. That's a whole other can of worms. How long did you make it in college before you called it quits?
I did one semester, and I only had 3 classes. I easily could have worked full time throughout that and done like they would have worked with me, but I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do construction, so I used it as an excuse to quit. Like, oh, I'm going to college, so I'll quit.
So the college thing doesn't work out, and then what? Do you go back to construction?
It wasn't that the college thing didn't like work out. I could have kept going and stuck through it. But I was dating my wife at the time, and I didn't have a job, and I knew we wanted to get married, and I wasn't going to go ask her dad if I could marry her and not have a job.
Oh,
so I went back to work doing construction.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So because construction was really all you had known, then that's just the natural place to end up.
Were you like what, 22, something like that?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah. When did you get married?
A week before I turned 23.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you get married, you go back to the family business.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back to Gerber.
Yep, back to Gerber.
And do you stay there?
Yeah, I stayed at Gerber from May of 2010 until March of 2019.
So at what point do you go? Because I knew you transitioned from the field to more of an office type position.
Yep.
How did that come about?
So that came about. From 2010 I went back to work, and it just back into kind of the same old labor, equipment operating. I mean, doing anything and everything, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't in a management role or anything. I wasn't a foreman. But that was May of 2010. Got back into it and went until July of 2014. My dad approached me and said, hey, we need a safety guy. We need somebody to be a safety manager here because, we had problems with the safety manager position for the previous, 3 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
They cycled through like 4 or 5 different people that they hired from outside the company to come in and try and be the, safety manager.
Yeah.
And they didn't work out because they didn't understand the company. They were book smart. They were educated. They had whatever degree they had, but, they didn't understand how we did work and how to actually go out and keep people safe.
Mm-hmm. So had you thought about going into a role like that before that, or was that the first time you're like,
No, the opportunity was presented to me a couple years before, but I was extremely hesitant and I didn't end up doing it. And then when it was presented to me again a few years later, I'd experienced a lot more, kind of knew a little bit more about like the various work that we did. And I can go back in to like the experience when my dad brought it up to me and kind of presented the opportunity to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I can remember feeling excited about it, and I could like visualize like a little bit of what it would look like.
Sure. So you start, how quickly after they approached you did you become safety manager? Was it like
2.5 months?
Oh, okay. So you had a little bit of time to think about it. So
I think I'd made the decision in probably a couple days or a week.
Really?
Yeah. Me and Paige talked about it, and the reason why I went with it was, number one, I was excited. Number two, less chance for out of town work because I didn't want to be my dad where I was on out of town jobs.
And did you have a kid at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had our first.
So what was stepping in from the field to a safety manager role like?
I didn't know anything.
Yeah. That's a leap. That's not just like
no.
Okay, you're from a laborer to an operator now. I mean, that's a leap too, but that's a whole different world.
Yeah. Yeah. I looking back, like I didn't know anything at all. I didn't know how to do the job. I didn't know what was required. really like expectations weren't set and aligned and responsibilities lined out. It's not like I was picked because I'd been through all sorts of like OSHA training and certifications and other safety trainings. Like I just, I got the opportunity because I got the company and I was within the company, and I was at the point where when my dad gave me the opportunity, it was like, okay, either we're going to put you in a foreman's truck and you're going to have to go out and like start running your own jobs, or you go in the office and try the safety thing. Like that's a way for you to get into having a position in the office and moving up through the company.
Sure.
So
safety too there's a ton of knowledge you need for it. And then it's a pretty dynamic leadership role. Like if you think about everything, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit, all the stuff Jocko teaches and Echelon Front teaches. I mean, you are having to influence the behavior of everybody at the company in a really dynamic way, and in a way that they don't necessarily want to be influenced.
And in a way that they don't want to spend money for.
Yeah. So the field's working against you because you're a pain in their ass.
Yeah.
And then the office is working against you because you're a pain in their ass. But they know that they need you.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll say this anyway, is like the way I felt in the position after a few years of doing it was, I was only there. I only had a job doing that because the company needed somebody in that capacity to bid certain jobs.
Yeah. Well, and that's, companies are influenced based on money more often than not. And so if it's starting to impact their way to make money, they're going to change behavior.
Yep.
So a concrete contractor, for example, you're working for larger GCs. The larger GCs came about and they started mandating that you need safety professionals or
mostly UDOT.
Yeah, DOTs or municipalities. DOTs. Yeah. I think it was really originally driven by GCs, but it's everybody you're bidding to, you need a full-time safety professional on staff. And then some of these, now the GCs, they're mandating like that project next door, you need a full-time safety professional on site every single day.
Yep.
And now why is it that they're mandating that? Well, it's not necessarily about safety. It's because it's impacting them from a financial standpoint, from an insurance standpoint, and from
it's the liability.
And so it's pushed down the line. And you need to just bid the work.
Yep.
You need to say, here's our safety guy, and here's his credentials, and whatever it is. Oh, okay, all right, cool.
Yep.
We'll take your bid.
Yep,
it's pretty crazy. Now, I'm not I'm not against safety.
I'm not either.
Fantastic thing.
Yep.
But a lot of times it's not motivated by safety.
Correct. Yeah. I believe in safety. I had a couple, experiences, honestly, a conference I went to, like the first month I was the safety guy. I went to an insurance conference in Philadelphia and they brought in this keynote speaker. His name was Charlie, I think. He was a guy, people listening to this, probably somebody out there has heard his story. But he had been all burned up in a refinery explosion.
I've heard this guy talk, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's unreal.
Yeah.
His story is incredible.
Yeah.
And out of anybody, anything, like his story got me to like buy into like being safe, like the importance of safety.
Yeah.
So like new safety guy, I was totally bought in with taking care of people and making sure everybody was safe. But that didn't necessarily mean that I knew how to do it.
Sure. So what was it like trying to learn how you're still a kid at this point. You're still in your 20s.
Yeah, I was 27, 28, something like that.
You're still pretty young.
Yeah.
What was it like trying to influence the safety culture of an entire organization that has been around for a while? At that point?
Yeah. And we're super, production oriented, especially like my dad.
Yeah.
You try and be the son of the son of an owner who is so focused and driven on production, and more so than anybody in the entire company, and try and go on his site and say, oh, hey, you can't do that because it says here it's got to be like this in this book. And it's like,
slow down.
Yeah. And it's, my dad's incredibly like practical, very, and like real world scenario, he's extremely safe.
Sure.
He taught me a lot of things, and he would point out things all over the job site all the time about being safe. When it comes to like being safe, quote unquote, right by the book, like it's not like, that's not what drives him. And so me, I can be much more by the book. And at the time I definitely was. And, I came in and like, man, I remember spending entire days just in the office, literally reading OSHA standards to just educate myself. Like just straight out of the freaking book, 1926, just
compelling stuff.
Yeah, really riveting.
Oh gosh. No.
It's like I've read some of the MSHA standards too. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like most of it hasn't been changed in decades.
Right.
It's identical as it was 20, 30 years ago.
Yep.
So you do that job for a few years.
Yep. Almost 4 years.
4 years?
Almost.
Did you enjoy it?
The first year, yeah, I was pretty gung ho. And then it became, to use a metaphor, I was smashing my head into a brick wall over and over again.
Sure.
So,
and to be fair, I mean, like a position like that, you need a certain skill set.
Yeah.
And you're a field guy. You've been building your whole life, and then to completely switch into that totally different role that requires a completely different skill set.
Yeah.
I
think, looking back, I think it worked out like well enough at the time.
Yeah.
And I think I could have made it work, but there was too many ways where I disagreed with the way things were being run in the company. So
at that point, what do you do?
So about a year and a half or 2 years into me being the safety guy, we ended up getting a drone for the company. Because we were doing a big bridge reconstruction project on I-80, and the engineering firm for the company that we were working with, they had a drone, and they took pictures and sent it they took pictures of the beams, new beams set on the bridge, and they sent it to the project manager on our team, and he sent them throughout the company, to everybody's email. And it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's an amazing photograph. Like, we need one of those. And so I talked to a few of the owners, kind of pushed it through. They ended up, once they found out that a drone was $1,500 and not $15,000, they're like, okay, yeah, here you go. Like, go ahead and you're in charge of it. So since I was a safety guy going around all the job sites, inspecting for, doing safety inspections, they put me in charge of the drone, and I'd go out and fly it, take pictures, video. I had, some like hobby experience with photo video stuff. I grew up kind of really interested in skateboarding and snowboarding, and I devoured like every snowboarding movie I could get my hands on. When I was in high school and stuff, that's kind of where I learned that stuff. And so I started putting together like some videos for the company, just on my own time and just for fun, and taking pictures, and kind of over time, more people in the company were asking me to go out and take pictures of their job sites, rather than like, oh, hey, go out and do a safety inspection, or like go check on this job because of XYZ. Like you need to get out there for safety reasons, and like do your full-time safety manager job. It was, hey, take the drone out there. We need some pictures of this job. And people just started getting really interested in that. And I kind of started doing that and seeing a need for it. And the biggest thing, if I can kind of rewind, one of the very biggest things that happened for me when I went from field to office was when you're operating in the field for a big construction company, 120, 130, 150 people. When you're operating in the field, you're typically on one job site for months at a time, or even a year. There were job sites I was on for a year.
Yeah,
and that's your lens of the entire business. It's just that one job site, right? People say, oh, we're out here on our island, right? So when I went from field to office, and I sat in management meetings when they're talking about all of the projects, and then they're complaining about, oh, we need more people. Oh, this job needs more people. Oh, this job needs more people. This job needs more people. Oh, we need more lead guys. Oh, we need more foremen. All this stuff, like not just laborers. It like blew my eyes wide open. Like, holy shit, there's a lot going on here, and we don't have enough people, and all this stuff. So that was when I first got into the office. That was kind of my perspective. I was like, we need more people.
Sure. And
then fast forward back to, like 2 years later when I got the drone and started making videos and stuff. I started kind of thinking like, well, we should be using this stuff to try and recruit people. Like, that's our biggest problem.
Was it like a Phantom 3?
It was a Phantom 3 Pro.
Nice.
Yep.
That's a nice drone.
Yep.
It was like the first widely available commercial drone that was $1,500.
Yeah.
Good.
It was good.
Anybody could buy.
Yep.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought too, because we're in a very unique position. And that's why we've been able to craft our business in the past 4 years like we have. Because we have a bigger perspective on the industry than really anybody. Because even like these big trade associations, they're not on the ground with construction workers every single week of the year like we are. And we're not stuck within one business. We get to see all different businesses and all different job sites. And we're not within one region. We get to see all different regions. And you go to Georgia one day and then New York the next, and then the Southwest the next. And they could be doing the exact same thing in all three areas completely differently because it's just a different way of doing things, different weather, different soil, different equipment, different people and methodology and whatever it is. And so like Eric Jumper, for example, we took him from bulldozer to doing what he does now. And he's like, I couldn't go back to running a dozer on one site just because I've seen too much now. Like I've seen
been ruined.
Too many machines. Yeah. Too many job sites, met too many people. I couldn't go back because my worldview is just, it's changed forever.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique.
Yeah.
So you see an opportunity for using, and another thing too, it's funny, these construction guys, they don't get the whole photo thing and video thing initially. And then they see it all and they're like, I want more of that because that's cool.
Right.
So this as well as I do. When we come out on a job site or an operation for the first time, it's a little odd because no one has ever been there to take photos before. You're the first person to ever take photos of some of these people too. Some of these people have never been photographed.
Right.
Like I've literally had people tell me the only picture I've ever taken is for my driver's license. That's it.
I had that happen 2 weeks ago when I went out to on that Witt dredging operation in Utah. There was a guy, I took a picture of him and he's like, I'm a picture taken of me in 5 years or something.
It's insane. So you go out there and then 6 months later you come back and they've seen all the pictures and they've seen the videos and it's a completely different vibe when you come back because they're, damn, like, you made us look good. And they're so proud of what they do and they're able to show their kids what they do. Sometimes for the first time ever. Like, here's what I do. They show their families and their friends, and totally different vibe second time around.
Yeah. When I was with Gerber and making some of the videos that I was doing, I put them on Facebook, and then, some of the guys out in the field that, oh man, my family saw that video, and this one guy, Nestor, he's sitting there talking to me on this one job site. Oh man, that video that you made, my family down in Mexico, they're so excited about that.
Yeah.
It's like, holy, like that's cool.
Mhm.
Like for them to, because people that haven't been on a job site, like they can't visualize, they have no idea what goes into building infrastructure.
No.
Like, my brother-in-law, he works for Gerber, and I remember years ago, like he took, they're on a big water tank job or something, and heavy concrete, big stuff, and he took his family out on a job site, and they couldn't believe what he did for a living.
Mhm.
Like they were like, oh, like we thought you like built houses,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, like it's big shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bummer because the industry is so focused on ROI and
Yep.
production, and there's thin margins, and it's hard to make money. So they're really careful with how they spend it. And so every dollar they spend, it needs to be going into the balance sheet or creating production or whatever it is. And yet their biggest problem is retention. And what does that do from a retention standpoint? Giving some guy the ability to show his family what he does,
Yep.
and that sense of pride.
Yeah.
And create that sense of pride in what he does,
Mhm.
and tell that story to his kids. You're not going to be able to put that on your balance sheet. You're not going to
Yep.
be able to calculate what the ROI is.
Right.
But from a human capital standpoint, from a retention standpoint, from a recruitment standpoint, that's the most powerful shit you could do.
Yep.
Is when the family's involved.
Oh yeah.
So you go from safety to a formal marketing position.
Yeah. I kind of, it was like 2 years in the making, but I kind of pushed on it here and there, and then ended up, I made, I kind of, in a way, threw all my chips on the table, so to speak. And, I made this video. It was, a video we showed at our year-end party. And it was like, at the time, the best, most kind of professional video I'd ever done. And it was a huge step up from like, what the company was expecting
Mm-hmm.
and what they had seen before. And like, I went out and filmed, got a bunch of shots of like the people and everything. And I kind of juxtaposed all the people and all the movement and all the building of the project in the video I made to it. In the beginning of the video, everything's still. I went out on job sites on the weekend, early morning, when nothing was moving, and I got just still shots of the job. And then I that's how I started the video. It was a really slow opening. Nothing's moving, nothing's happening. And then I slowly introduced people and just focus on the people building stuff, and like kind of tried to make it like as epic as I possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of close the video with everything going back to stillness again. And it was a message. It was me telling a story to the company, and mainly the owners, that like, hey, nothing moves, nothing happens. There's no motion out here. Nothing gets built without people.
Hmm.
And
This was still when you were safety.
Yeah, I was a full-time safety guy, and I edited the thing on, nights and weekends on my own. Obviously, I had to shoot like when I was on the clock as the safety guy, when I was out on site.
Yeah.
But like they wanted they wanted a year-end video, so they understood why I was filming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made that video, showed it at the year-end party, and a week or two later, had some conversations and was like, hey, the safety thing is not for me long term. And like long term, the next 3 to 5 years, probably, like I'm either going to be in some sort of marketing position here, doing photo video work, or I'll go back out in the field. Like the safety thing just wasn't working out for me.
And the marketing thing, they'd never had marketing before.
Nothing.
I mean, this is a pretty traditional construction company.
Yes.
which is most construction companies.
Yep.
So and it's all, they're bidding the DOTs and that kind of thing. So it's like, well, what the hell is marketing going to do for us?
Yeah,
'Cause it's all low bid.
the vast majority of everything was low bid.
Yeah. Yeah, because marketing, it's really misconstrued and misunderstood. Everybody thinks it's business development. So it's okay, if I'm bidding all these jobs to DOTs and all it is low bid, marketing doesn't matter. Why the hell would I do marketing?
Yep.
But marketing's not just business development. That's actually a very small percentage of marketing when you're doing it in a proper manner, I think. I think it's more for recruitment. I think it's more for building culture, internal messaging, creating a place people want to work. Because if you do all that, then you can go get as much work as you want. And if you're building work more profitably, now you can bid more competitively. Now you can win more work. Now you can attract more people. Now you can build more work. Makes sense?
Yeah, the funny thing, and this might bring us a little full circle here, was I put together like a proposal for this marketing position, wrote it all out, gave it to the new company president at the time. And he was the one who really kind of helped me push it through with everybody else, because there's multiple owners in the company. But I had 3 points on there that the company could use marketing for. And I struggle to remember precisely what they are, but it had to do with recruiting people, retaining people, and then like increasing company morale along those lines. And it was probably a couple weeks, maybe a month later, that I discovered you on Instagram. And you made a post with a caption with literally the exact same 3 points that I made internally to my company. And you were putting it out on social media like, hey, construction companies of the world, like, you need to use marketing and social media to do these 3 things.
I have a PDF I created when I was still working for the company, the last company I'd worked for, a construction company. Because I was this young field engineer, and I was helping to manage a project. It was me and another engineer and a project manager managing about 20 million of work in Fort Worth. So it was a good sized job, 2-year job. And it was complex because we were rebuilding a road, but we couldn't shut traffic down. So you have to phase it out, and it just narrow streets and all kinds of stuff, tons of coordination. But I was taking my camera to work, taking pictures, taking video, and I was begging company ownership to, guys, give me the social media channels of the company. Like, you guys don't have no social media presence, and I can do something pretty cool with this. And here are the reasons why you should use social media as a construction company. And I presented this PDF. It didn't go anywhere, of course, which is why I'm at where I'm at now.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness they said no. But it was those exact points where this isn't about getting work. I know that's not your problem, but people sure as hell is your problem. And this isn't your magic potion, but it's this amazing tool that's completely free that I could do on my own time that can, I think, move the needle here and move the needle on our biggest problem. And that's why I tell all these contractors that want to go hire someone else for social media. We did it for a long time. We still do it. It pisses me off that we still do it, frankly. And I've told everybody we do it for that that's the case. Yet they still want it done by us because it's the easy thing to do. There's someone probably within your company that would happily do it. That would happily, because it's fun. Like, you were a safety guy. You weren't asking them, hey, can I have more money to make this video? You were just doing it because it's fun. Telling stories, bring your camera to work, talking to people, taking drone shots. It's badass. It's fun. You're proud of what you do. The people you work with are proud of what you do. I can go share all this on social media. You could have done it all for free. It's just, it's crazy. These people already exist in these companies, but it's scary because then that opens them up to a whole new world of transparency that they've never had before, which I get. But also, we're in the year 2022. It's just a more transparent world nowadays.
Things are way different now than they were 3 years ago, or even, 10 years ago.
It's only going further in that direction. So it's not like, I could be dead wrong, but I think it's only going to continue to go in this direction. So
at least for a while.
But there's an important point too in what you did was, and to these young people that I talk to all the time online that want to move up or want to change roles or whatever it is, you kind of made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You had to create the opportunity for yourself. Company management didn't call you up one day.
No.
Hey, Kjell, so we noticed that the safety thing isn't really for you.
Yep.
So we're going to give you this marketing position.
Right.
That's not how it went.
No.
It was what you said, 2 years of.
Yeah, it was a couple of years of kind of pushing and prodding a little here and there. And you know, I created the company Instagram account when I a month after I was the safety guy. So in 2014. So I wasn't super active on it. We didn't post a ton. I
didn't start posting until 2017.
Yeah.
So that was 3 years before I ever showed up.
Yep. Yeah, I was doing it long before you were.
Yeah. Yeah, you were onto something before I was.
You're the original BuildWitt, really.
Yeah, not quite, but almost.
So that's where I stumble across you is social media.
Yep.
Were you on the company account? Did I find you on the company account?
Company account.
Gerber Construction?
Yep. I'd been following you. Funny story. I'd been following you for 4 or 5, maybe 6 months by the time you reached out to me. I remember showing my friend. I remember showing my best friend your account, and I'm like, "Look at this shit. Look at these photos. Yeah. This is amazing." And he was like, "Man, you should reach out to him." And I was like, "Why the hell would I do that? Like, why would I reach out to him? Like, what's he gonna do? What am I gonna do?" Like, it didn't make sense to me to reach out to you because I was at the family company. Like, you know, I was pretty tied in there. Like, I wasn't looking for opportunities to do something else.
Sure. And I saw your stuff online, and I just needed help editing videos because people wanted video.
Yeah.
So I would shoot some drone video and some just random shit while I was out on site. Mm-hmm. But I've never had any desire on video editing.
You're not a video guy.
I'm not a video guy.
You're not an editor.
And I am happy to accept that.
Yep.
So I understood that, but I also wasn't stupid enough to just ignore video.
Yeah.
And these companies wanted video, so I needed help. So I reached out to you originally and said, could you help part-time edit video? Is that how?
The first
have a better memory of it than I do.
So when you first reached out, I still remember you reached out and you said you said, you know, "Hey, like, what's your story? Who are you or whatever?" And like, your work's phenomenal. Sure. And I still remember that. And to me, that was a big deal because
good shit.
Well, but it was like, it was coming from you, and it was somebody like I'd followed you, and it was kind of one of those things where it was like, I was fangirling, you know, like, oh, BuildWitt messaged me.
Sure.
You know, back when it was BuildWitt.
Yeah.
But, you know, you reached out to me and wanted to know, you know, what the hell was going on, because it was a construction company putting out good content. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I kind of explained the situation that like, oh, hey, I'm Kjell, and I'm at my family's company doing this marketing thing. And like, I used to be the safety guy for a couple of years, and now I'm doing this and whatever. And I sent you a couple videos that I'd done. That the video I explained earlier, I sent you that, and you replied, said it was badass. And I don't know, it was a week or two later probably that you reached out and, "Hey, do you want to do some video work?" Hell yeah, sure.
Well, and it was rare for a construction company to have good content at that point.
Very rare.
Very rare.
Things are so much different now.
Yeah. And I like to think we've had a significant part in
probably
that happening.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we've influenced the market and driven awareness to, maybe we should do this. And it's accelerating now. I mean, I'm noticing more and more companies just looking really good online, which is good for everybody. We all win.
Yep.
But at that point, there were just a handful. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I was able to grow so quickly in the early days, because there wasn't very much just high quality shit on the internet regarding heavy equipment.
Yep. You and Keaton talked about it on the other podcast.
Yeah.
It was like organic reach a few years ago on Instagram was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and so you have how Instagram has changed the stupid algorithms or whatever, the mysterious algorithms.
Yep.
But then also you just look at it from and this is what I identified early on, because when I was thinking about going on social media, I didn't immediately go to dirt. I actually thought about maybe nature or adventuring, because I was doing a lot of hiking and national parks and everything. But then I just looked at the marketplace. Well, there's a million people that are so much more talented, that are so much more adventurous than me, posting crazy shit online. So to stand out, good luck.
Right.
But then I looked at the dirt world. I'm like, holy shit, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's nothing here. And what little is there, I'm glued to it. I love this stuff. So you're like, back then and still now, like still, if you're a construction company now, it's still not even close to where it should be.
Yeah.
You just stand out with good stuff, because there isn't very much good stuff.
Yeah. It was easy to stand out.
Yeah. So at what point, how long did you edit videos for until you came out to California?
It was like August of 18, I think, when I started doing video stuff. You'd send me stuff online. I'd download the footage and do an editing project for you. So I think I did 3 projects.
6 months into BuildWitt.
Yeah.
And then it was 6 months went by.
Yeah. It was August. I did like 3 projects, August through, I don't know, December or something. And then December, you hit me up like, hey, like, would you maybe be interested in a full-time opportunity down the road?
Yeah. And
I remember I told you, I was like, yeah, I'd rather have more options than less. So like, I'm pretty tied in the family company, but more options is better than none, because the other thing was, when they gave me the marketing position, they told me I had 1 year to prove it to them that it worked. And if it didn't, which, the criteria, I guess, was arbitrary.
Sure.
But they were gonna fill the safety position with somebody else to do the safety job. Yeah. And so if at the end of a year, if it didn't pan out according to what they wanted, then they're gonna, essentially kick me back out in the field, which, to be straight up, like I had no intention of going back out in the field. It's just not what I wanted.
And at that point, I realized I just needed more help.
Yeah.
I'd been doing it for a year, and it was like, all right, I got to go all in on this and bring in some help here. And we had been working a little bit together. You had some really good shit online. You were from the industry.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I don't have to train this guy up on the industry, because he knows more about the industry than I do. So this is freaking perfect. Like, what could be better?
Right.
So then I had you out on that California trip, which was just fucked. Just a total mess.
Oh, yeah, it was. We came up with that idea for me to come out and travel with you for a week and like just try it out, because I don't think either of us really knew what the job was going to be like. I mean, you told me I was going to, travel about 1 week a month and go out and take pictures and, probably do some social media type stuff. And that's like, I never actually even touched any of our partners' social media accounts.
No, and that's the misconception of building a business, is you have everything figured out.
Yeah. Oh, no.
You don't have anything figured out.
No.
It's just like, I need help.
Yep.
Okay. I need to find someone to help me out. But as far as like writing a job description goes, are you kidding me? I don't know. I don't even know what the hell I do.
Well, it was a good thing that it was a good thing we did the trial run together though. I took a week off of work and, went out with you in California for a week and told you I'd do it for free, and you paid me anyway, which.
Did Angel meet up with us on that trip?
It was just me.
The next one.
That was the next one.
But we started in San Diego. The whole thing was rained out.
Yep.
So it was just slop.
It was we drove. We started in San Diego. Yeah. We drove south to the LB3 project.
Yeah.
No. We drove south to a different. No, I think it was that project, and it was rained out. Yeah, and then so we went to some quarry, and they were doing MSHA training, so they were shut down. And then we're like, wow, we're gonna shoot at Thompson Pipe Group up in San Bernardino. Yeah. So like, okay, like 2.5 hours north. It was probably 3 with traffic.
Yeah.
And so we drive all the way up there. and raining, and we get almost the entire way there, and then you talk to the plant manager, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, tomorrow." Oh, okay. So then we tried to go over to the Turner mining site. I don't know, somewhere over near Pasadena, I think. So we went over there, and then they were rained out, and so we drove from LA all the way back down to San Diego.
That was such a dumb day.
We spent like 8 or 9, 10 hours straight just in the car in California traffic
for no reason.
Yeah.
We would have been. Yeah. We would have been better if we would have just stayed at home that day.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. How many miles did we drive?
I hate driving Southern California.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
I hate it.
It was nuts.
And then we end up in San Francisco.
Yeah, at the end of the week.
That trip.
San Jose.
San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went up Highway 1.
Yep.
Because we got rained out. So we were like, whoa, let's just drive up Highway 1.
Yep. Went up Highway 1. You went for a run on Pismo Beach.
Yeah.
That place is sick.
Yeah. And then basically at the end of that trip was, hey.
Went to Granite Rock.
Yeah. But it was, hey, you want to do this full time?
Yeah.
and so that was, and then at the same time,
that was the job offer from BuildWitt back in the day. Hey, you want to do this?
It was
okay.
It was go home, sleep on it, talk to your wife.
Yeah,
let me know.
Yeah,
and I straight up, I was the whole entire week. I was like vacillating back and forth, like 51-49% of like, oh, do I do the BuildWitt thing or like, oh, I stay at Gerber, and to kind of put somebody like in my shoes, like I was giving up, potential ownership in the company.
Mm-hmm.
You'd
been there over a decade at that point.
Yeah.
And grown up around the business and
family business,
whole life.
Potential ownership, like the pride in the name of the company, feeling really good that I worked there. Like that was a big thing, and, so that, the whole time it was like, and it's like, what was BuildWitt at the time? It's not like I was leaving for.
There was nothing.
There was nothing.
There was nothing.
It was absolutely nothing. It was you. It was you, a camera, and an Instagram page. Like that's it. That's all it was.
Probably wasn't even paying taxes at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you dropped me off at the airport and was like, well, sleep on it. Let me know what you think. I don't need an answer tomorrow. And I went home and I was like, kind of halfway 50-50 on the fence and didn't really know. I don't know. And I woke up the next morning and it was like, okay, I'm ready. When am I putting in my 2 weeks? It was just total gut feel. Like, yep, let's do it. I'm ready.
Sure. I wouldn't have done that if I were you. I half joking with people. I'm like, I don't know why Kjell went to work for us because like we literally had nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably told you sleep on it for a while because I was like, shit, if he says yes, I'm gonna have to find some money somewhere to pay this guy. Like, because at that point we had never had payroll because I didn't pay myself at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because that was I started paying myself maybe year 2, like at the end of year 2. And so at that point, you were literally the first person that had ever been. We had no expenses at the company. Really, it was my travel. And that was it. And so that was one of the first leaps of like, whoa, all right, we need to take on some risk here. And it wasn't like disingenuine, like, oh, fuck, he said yes, Jesus.
Right.
But it was a little bit like that.
Of,
we're just making this up. And then Angel joined on soon after you.
Yep.
So you came on board and it was the 3 amigos.
Yep.
For quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
We basically just traveled the country living together, essentially. Sharing hotel rooms a lot of time.
Yeah. You and Angel together a lot more than I was with you guys. But yeah, I was with you quite a bit.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
We spent a lot, like the first 6 months.
Yeah.
We were pretty much on every trip together.
Yeah.
Like doing like Morgan Corp. And I remember just cruising all over South Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah, it was wild.
And now you've been here 3 years.
Next month, yeah. 3 years.
Wow.
I'm going on 4 years next week.
Yeah.
Not to brag.
Yeah. I'll be the only one with a 4-year hard hat sticker. I'll always be 1 year ahead of everybody, except Matt Briscoe. He is like a 4.5 year.
Yeah. He was editing your photos before you took them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's the pre-BuildWitt Kjell Gerber story.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do post-BuildWitt Kjell Gerber story one of these days.
Cool.
You don't regret it so far, huh?
No, not a single bit. Not for half a second. It's been insane. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
But I literally, yeah, the guys at Carter, the Carter Machinery that we were out shooting with a couple months ago, they were asking me like, "Oh, what's your story? Like, how'd you end up at BuildWitt?" And I told them, and "Oh, do you you ever regretted it? Like whatever?" And I was like, "Nope, not a single bit." And that literally for me, like that goes back to like that just gut feel of just like, kind of trust your instinct and just freaking go with it.
All right. Well, that's good news. I think we wrap it up there for today.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2.
Yeah, let's do part 2.
Okay.
Kjell Gerber's BuildWitt story.
I'm down for part 2.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
If you want to follow Mr. Kjell, Blue Collar Photographer.
Yep. There's an underscore in there.
Underscore?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Blue collar underscore photographer.
Blue Collar underscore photographer. You've had some cool shit lately.
Yeah.
Thanks. You've been seeing some really cool shit.
What was the one of a guy like sitting up on like a beam or something?
I would think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing you've ever shot.
Yes. Unbelievable.
I
think so too.
Like you would like back to back.
Yeah.
Vite, the dredging in Salt Lake, and then that.
Yeah.
Probably the two of the coolest things I've seen you share.
Yeah. Those were 2 fun trips. I went out at sunset with Vite up on Willard Bay, north of Salt Lake, and shot their dredging thing. That was cool. It's freaking cold as shit.
And the water's frozen.
Yeah, water's frozen. It was cool. And then guy on Instagram that I follow, he works for Ralph L. Wadsworth out of there in Utah.
Yeah, big time.
And he had posted on his story a picture of a bridge, and I recognized in the background, like, oh, that's close to home. I see the mountains, like I can tell the general vicinity of where you're at. And I just replied to him like, oh, that's badass. That's close to home.
I looked across the valley. So it looked like it was by Kennecott.
It basically, I mean, you know where I live. It's like between my house and Kennecott.
Yeah, because you could see Kennecott. You could see some tailings.
No. In the background there was Geneva's pit up on the hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Kjell.
Yep. It was fun.